Happy Thursday, y'all. Welcome back to the Kentucky X-Files Midweek Mysteries.
This is our podcast. This is our podcast.
This is it. This is.
Yeah.
This is
our
yeah.
podcast.
Sorry.
That part.
Confirmed.
That's confirmed.
I concur.
Yes. Hey,
Yeah.
you've been waiting all night to use that.
No.
So, I don't want to beat around the bush.
Yep.
So I want to magically whisk us away
You're like
to Afghanistan,
You're like Miss Frizzles.
2002.
Oh, nice.
United States military engages a giant. The red-haired Giant of Kandahar.
I'm all
And
ears.
from what I've heard about this is the locals knew about the giant, and the giant apparently wasn't that friendly, which seems to be the going the going case as far as giants and stories go. But this one was bad in particular from snatching people, snatching livestock, things like that, and children, just whatever. And apparently at some point our military decided to go handle it, because we were already there.
Mm-hmm.
We were already there, doing whatever it is we were doing. And apparently this thing wiped out the first group that went in to fight it. It took out an entire group, or whatever you want to call it, a squad or platoon. I'm not sure the right term
I
for
don't
it.
think they did a platoon. That's a lot of people.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So a squad
So
or
maybe a squad.
I think
yeah.
It's in a squad, platoon, and company.
Yeah.
I think a company isn't a company smaller than that.
No, I think a company's a lot.
Okay, we're bad at these terms, so sorry.
None of us served.
Yeah,
So-
none of us are.
So, they went in. This thing wipes out the first group,
Mhm.
right? They go back with more artillery. Basically, from what the story says is, they finally, it was hours of fighting this thing, and it was still fighting back. They finally brought it down with 50 caliber BMGs. And from what I understand, it took 3.5 minutes of continuous fire to get the thing down. And this story's everywhere.
That's enough to cut a tree in half.
Yeah. This story is out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the giant thing, when I was reading this one and looking into it, this was actually one of the listeners of the show actually mentioned this in a comment a while back.
Okay.
And I got really interested, because I'm like, okay, I like this sort of thing, and what do you know? I find an entire, there's an entire following to the investigation of giants, whether they were active and out there right now, or the bones of giants.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where it starts getting a little wild. Apparently, in a little town that has a problem with flooding not too far south from here, if you know the one, supposedly someone has bones in that town.
Really?
Yes. And these bones are human. They basically look like a human skeleton. Maybe a little, some differences. I don't know. But they're a lot bigger, spanning all the way up to maybe 12 to 13 feet.
That's only like 20 minutes away.
Yeah, it's not far.
Mm-hmm.
That's how close, this particular story is.
Were they brought back from there?
I don't know. I don't know.
I know that the Middle East has got a lot of giant stories.
Now,
Lots of them.
These are separate. What do you call it? Supposedly, the one that's close to here, they found it, and it was buried with armor on it. It actually was wearing armor.
Like what type of armor? Actual steel? Like not steel, but like metal.
I guess
leather.
iron armor or something. They said it was wearing armor and had weapons with it, right? And this thing was almost 13 feet tall.
Well,
Yeah.
another thing too is, didn't they just recently, probably a couple years ago, found Viking remains around here? Not around here, but on
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minnesota.
So
Yeah.
wasn't that the real big depiction of a Viking that they grew to like big proportions?
Not necessarily, but
They didn't grow. Would you?
Vikings did have a heavy, what do you call it? I don't know if like a historic culture or whatever with their storytelling that often put giants versus men. That
Gotcha.
we didn't get along and we'd often go to war against each other. You know what I mean?
I think doesn't almost every culture have a giant story?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah.
I'm a little concerned about this one. Did you say he was a red-haired giant?
Yeah, red-haired giant in Afghanistan. That's the story.
That's an unfortunate place for a redhead, is it not?
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, that would be really rough on somebody with red hair.
Sure.
Yes.
No wonder he was angry.
Oh yeah, definitely. He probably had a good thing going for him.
Right.
Every now and again, I'll walk down, I'll snatch a couple sheep, and then go munch them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a giant, so who knows how many sheep?
So it was actually like, was it like human-like? So
It had weapons. It was.
Did it have fur all over? Was it like a Sasquatch, or was it more?
It was like
it was
a primitive man that's
but
a
just
lot bigger.
a lot bigger.
Yeah, which is actually in regards to Sasquatch, there has been a couple sightings that span that size, but I know I've brought it up before. There was one video of something in a tree with the mother and her kids, and when they went back and measured it, that thing spanned like 13, 14 feet. The void that it left, when it wasn't there when they went back, it was massive. It was bigger. I mean, the granddaddy of all, whatever. Was it a Sasquatch or maybe a relative of one of these, these giants,
The only thing I don't like about a lot of the giant stories is it seems like they always make them out to be big and dumb.
Yeah.
Like there's never a genius giant.
I don't know.
Well, I wouldn't put that. I wouldn't. We never understood the whole I think the misconception of Neanderthals. They make everybody makes the assumption that they were just because they were primitive people, they were actually they survived. They
a lot of times they when they make it's almost like an insult against intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very Neanderthal way of thinking or Neanderthal. But in regards to Neanderthal, they were actually a brilliant people.
Yeah, they had tools and tattoos and all kinds of stuff. They weren't.
They
were tough too.
They actually weren't any dumber or smarter than primitive humans were.
Yeah.
It was just something about the makeup of their species that.
They were more stoutier, kind of bulkier.
Yeah, that just didn't let them evolve and keep going.
They were I can't say that I wouldn't say that they were genius levels, but they were at least they built structures. They got themselves. They went forward with it. They kept themselves alive. They had enough knowledge to keep their species alive, and then eventually, you said that those species actually there's actual DNA that's in us, right? Neanderthals.
We have a little bit of Neanderthals.
There's a lot more too.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that that's the way that they were okay, they prolong their species by intermingling with us.
Isn't it like in Eastern Europe? There's a whole group of people that are really closer, a lot closer related.
Yeah, and they're hardy. They're
that's why I was
tough,
hardy.
Yeah.
They're not. I mean, they. For all intents and purposes, it's like the Neanderthal maybe didn't go extinct.
Mm-hmm.
We just mixed. We became whatever we are now.
That was proven.
And you got to think too is that the harder you are, the more I feel like health risk you come to go to, because I know people with harder bones, they say that eventually your skeleton will be too much, it would be hard to move.
Yeah.
So basically that's probably another thing why a lot of them died off, is because that they were probably just too much for gravity and stuff, and
right.
and like the way that they were built just couldn't handle that. So yeah, and on that, maybe not knowing it, they intermingled with our species,
Yeah.
and then that's how they prolonged themselves. So, like yeah, like you were saying, like I don't think they were dumb, but they wasn't I wouldn't say the smartest
Right.
ones of the bunch.
So,
But
so do you think that these are like relic humans?
I don't know.
Because we know that there was for sure a pygmy species
Yeah.
of humanoid of some sort that lived on this planet at one point in time.
Well, there's a place. It's actually, I think it's either called the Stone Doors or the Giant Doors, and these are real. You can see them right now. How's that? And these doors are kind of a little bit of an archaeological mystery because no one really knows why they're built.
yeah,
These doors are so massive that it really doesn't make sense for the primitive people who lived here why they would even make them. Right? There's crazy amounts of rumors that inside is basically what is it, like a mausoleum of basically buried giants, maybe even giants of royalty, and things like that. And like you said, there's these stories of these giants all over the place, and it's hard to even talk about giants without bringing up the Nephilim.
yeah.
The Nephilim, that's a common thing that all this.
And another thing on top of that, we actually threw this out there on an episode way like I want to say like episode 9, maybe farther back.
Yeah.
You actually wanted to talk about the Nephilim a little bit,
Yeah.
and we talked about what was it? What was it? Abel's son.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Like I forgot his name.
You're talking about the boy that was born covered in hair.
Yeah, he was covered in red hair too, and he was a good he was just a natural
Outdoorsman.
Outdoorsman.
Yeah.
So, like the depiction of the hair, red,
Yep.
and like you were saying too of that. So, that's another people could say, interlink the theories.
Well, I know the red hair. I was reading about this because I was interested in basically the mutation of the blue eyes,
Yeah.
red hair, things like that, and they've actually got a pretty good timeline for when these things happened in our evolution. You know what I mean? But there's no timeline for giants. We
Yeah.
don't really know. We have.
Don't know.
I was blown away because I've never looked into this before. Never looked into it. When I started digging, I started looking. It was page after page. I mean,
Yeah.
just one after another, and they all have similarities. The one that really gets me is a picture shows up of basically an archaeologist, and he's basically cleaning off and dusting this giant skeleton, right? And I did a little bit of research on this, and what I was looking for was basically kind of like an original timestamp. I wanted to see when the picture originally happened, and then kind of go from there. So, as I started looking, there's a few of these. And the first thing that I find is, right after that one, is another one of the same picture, and it basically says hoax. Okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's giants. I'm sure there's got to be a hoaxer out there, right?
Right.
But then something interesting happened. When I went back and I started looking for old pictures, not only did I find that one, but I found other angles, other pictures of the same scene where he's working on different parts of it, and it's different shots where like someone was walking around snapping pictures, and they were doing it in a hurry. It wasn't something that was like perfectly staged out, because the reason I think that is because a perfectly staged out picture
Yeah.
is not going to have people doing stuff in the background, like dusting something and their hands blurry.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Have you ever noticed that like really, really proven hoaxes are really, really clear and planned out?
Right.
This one looks more like hurry up and get pictures before it's too late. That's what I kept getting the feeling off of the picture. Now, I'm going to have to get these pictures over to the wife and have her tell me what
See.
she's seeing. But it was interesting that some of these pictures have a history to them, and then the hoaxes starts coming out later, if that makes sense. It's like every single one of them has this like,
That kind of takes us back to the like the Nepal government thing we talked about, where maybe they were trying to get the pictures and get out before somebody realized that this existed, and they were taking pictures of it so that they could get it out before the government put a stop to it.
Yeah. Well, that led me to the next and last part of my miniature investigation into this, which I plan on digging a lot more into this as I go. Was I kept wondering, okay, why would we want to get rid of it? And then as I started going into it, it started to make a little bit more sense, which is if you could prove that they're there,
Yeah.
there's no doubt just looking at the skeleton that it's related to us.
Yeah.
It is a human, basically. And if it's a human, it has rights. And if it has rights, there's going to be laws. And if it has a territory, that belongs to it now.
Gotcha.
And I kept thinking, what if they live around something that we find valuable, or something like that, and the best bet is to just nix it. It's much easier.
Even like if it's something that's like that far back, like a skeleton that predates that.
That's what I'm saying is if it's basically a nearly fossilized skeleton, that's evidence. Even if it's not here now, that erases all of it. That literally says, okay, we have basically Homo gigantus. You know what I mean? Like this is massive. But then it literally led me to the school of thought where it's what's easier, deny it or explain it.
Probably deny it.
You know what I mean?
Because you can just plead the fifth on everything.
Yeah, if we explain it to the people, are they going to be calm about it? Are they going to demand more answers? Or is it going to lead to problems? So yeah, I don't know the verdict on this, but it is definitely a fascinating subject, and I know there's many more stories. I know there was one that another similar story where interesting, and it was really interesting to me that most of these recent sightings almost always involve a military force going in and taking care of the problem. The other one that I heard of was from South America.
Yeah.
And they literally went there and they dealt with it, because it was the same issue as.
I'm definitely not up on my giant stories.
I think that's what
I wasn't either.
Sorry about that. I just realized what I was about to say. Like, even though that we're like trickling out some of the alien things, but the truth is still, I feel like the United States is still tiptoeing around saying yes, there's aliens or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So even if they did know about this stuff, I feel like it's because people want to know more. Even though with what we have now, people want to always know more because they want to know if there's a threat.
Oh yeah.
Something because it changes our way of life. It changes me sitting down at my TV now. Now I have to worry about what's something coming across my house, a giant or an alien or something. So I feel like a lot of people would start freaking out about like things that are not the norm. Like, come on, we get bent out of shape for the smallest things, and these are big things that if they actually disclose them, I'd feel like there would be a lot of panic and stuff going like us like ripping our hair out just trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it's an interesting topic. I've just begun to dig into this one, so expect more. And I can't wait to. I know there's going to be more stuff out there, and I can't wait to actually hear from you guys. If you know anything about this subject that I've missed, what to do. Put it in the comments. Let us know. Point us in the right direction. I don't know. If there's giants, that's just, to me, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I feel like there's a lot to learn from it.
Yeah. You know, like if you look at like all the old, very, very old stories of the Bigfoot sightings, that like predate the Patty film, it was always more human than ape.
Yeah.
It was always a very large, hairy man.
Yeah.
So like,
it's interesting, isn't it?
Right.
Maybe a puzzle piece.
Or maybe like didn't you say like eventually, like especially like the T-Rex, it started to slowly de-evolve when like prey got smaller, like less abundance. You know what I'm talking about?
It would have still been an evolution, not a de-evolution.
Yeah, it'd be an evolution, but they got smaller.
Yeah,
so think about that. The giants, it had a lot of hair on it, and then it started to maybe stay that size a little bit, but shrink down a little bit, but got more hair.
Well, you know what though?
You think I'm spitballing, saying that this could be linked to the Sasquatch.
Just to clarify on that, the evolution steps. The T-Rex lived and died as a T-Rex.
Yeah.
But eventually the Utyrannus was a smaller version of it.
Yeah.
They lived and died separate times, separate places. They were related, but like the way an evolution should and does work in nature is that these are all prototypes. If this one doesn't work, it dies off. Only the best of the best go forward. So, to my way of thinking, if there's a giant or there was giants, this is an absolute evolution, and it would have happened in a time where the prey was a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
with more oxygen too.
More oxygen in the atmosphere.
And the weight, bigger, I was saying, the weight too. Bigger you are, the more stress you put on yourself. The stress that you get on yourself, your joints will be destroyed after a while, especially the weight.
That alone would have been enough to slowly dwindle a population down.
Look at the guy that actually grew to be like 8'9" or something.
Yeah, Robert.
It killed him off
Lust?
very young.
No, Robert. I can't remember his last name.
Yeah,
Let's put it right here.
Yeah, we have the power.
Yeah. I'll be holding his name up.
Yeah.
But that killed that guy off at a very young age. Like, we're not designed to be that big.
Right.
Yeah, if I would say if he was, I would say in outer space, I feel like since the less gravity, because they even state the people on space stations, they grow a couple inches while they're up there.
Yeah,
because their spinal cord starts to stretch because there's no weight pushing down on their spinal cord, so they'll grow a couple inches in there. But then on the top of it, you can't spend too much time in outer space because you're too close to the sun, so you get radiation.
Well, you get very weak too.
Yeah, you get weak.
Entropy or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it entropy or
atrophy?
Atrophy. Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting, and you guys out there, let us know what you think, and definitely put some stuff in the comments. And you know what I really like is when you guys suggest stuff for us to look into.
Yeah.
That's really awesome because I like it because you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, well, they're finding stuff that they know about that we might take weeks or months to try to find.
Yeah, because you guys know it. The internet is huge. We'd have to be knowing what we're looking for. The giant thing, you would actually have to type that in.
Yeah.
And maybe stumble across it. This
somebody actually commented about it.
Yeah,
and that's why I
just wanted to.
I wanted to go into it.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a great.
Keep feeding us.
Great episode. I love this one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I wish I had more.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna keep digging. I've got a whole file saved on the computer at home, and I'm.
Yep. That's what the Midweek Mystery's for.
Yeah, I'm following
a short little blip. Here you go.
I'm following the breadcrumbs.
Right.
Cheese sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm following the cheese sticks crumbs. I wonder if you guys have. I wonder if by now you guys have heard the episode with the cheese sticks in it.
No.
I doubt it.
Because it's 2 weeks away.
Unless we move it.
We are time travelers, folks. Time bends.
Like marinara.
Like marinara sauce.
I really want to stop this episode.
All right. I think we should go. So, see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.